Oftentimes, it's the little things you don't even consider that cause you the most grief when scripting. They don't even come up on your radar, but they pop up unexpectedly and you've got no idea how to sort them out. One of those things is the wall cut lines. You've created the wall hole. I showed you that last episode, but now it's got no cut lines in the wall. How do I create them? Can I just use the line command? How do I know which pen to use? How do I make sure it still works when the doors are turned off? How do I make sure it responds to graphic overrides? You've done all the hard work of scripting the 3D of your door, getting all your plan views working, sorting out opening angles and levels of detail, and the 101 other things you need to sort out for a well-scripted door. And now this little thing, 2 short lines, are causing you grief. How do we sort it out? Well, I'll show you. This is where we start to delve into the world of recalling or interrogating your wall attributes so you can utilize them. Here's our wall hole. We've done our transformations. Now we want to draw these lines left and right, but only if that option is selected. And that option is AC wall contours. What were those options? Either full or side. So 1 or 2. So if our AC wall contours equals 1, now this is called the pipe symbol. This one here, which is usually above your enter key, shift backslash usually gets you that. Sometimes it's over on the left side of the keyboard. That's the vertical pipe. Stands for OR. So if AC wall contours equals 1 or AC wall contours equals 2, then we'll come in here and we'll draw a line. So the simple thing is to just draw a line. It's a nice 2D result. That's what we're after, isn't it? Maybe, maybe not. We'll put in that coordinate and that coordinate. So it's going to draw a line from there down to there. All right. Excellent. Good. We'll point out a couple of things. One is it's not the right pen. I wanted to draw what this cut pen is. And we'll deal with that first. Now, by the way, if you want to investigate how Graphisoft do this for yourself, you will find all of these Warhol things under Warhol cut. So in the 3D script of that, you'll find the 3D Warhols, and in the 2D script, you'll find the 2D Warhols and how they deal with it. Now, when we do a bit of research, we find that there is a global variable called wall section pen. Pen of the contours of the wall cut surfaces. That sounds like what we want. Let's try that. And set the pen to that. Because this is going to change the pen to be different than what we want, we'll shift our geometry pen down to before our geometry. Good, let's check that out. Well, it changed, but it's still not right. Why not? Well, it turns out that when you use a composite, this is a composite wall structure, you find out the pens in a different manner than if it's just a basic wall. If I change this to a basic wall, now that cut pen matches my wall cut pen. But when it's a composite, I need to go about it a different way. And what we're after then is a global variable called wall skins params. If we look at that global variable, wall skins params is an array, 19 columns. So it's a 2-dimensional array. If you imagine an Excel sheet and the columns are these headings here, and the values will fill up in the rows, because a composite wall can have many skins. And in our case, we wanted row 1 of column 7. And column 7 is the upper line pen, which raises another point. Why didn't we choose the lower line pen? I'll get to that in a minute. So let's check that out. Good. That's what we're after, isn't it? Isn't it? It should be. Looks pretty good. And if I change my composite definition, so let's say I change this to something blatantly obvious. And you can see how it works. I'll leave that like that so that we can see the impact. And let's add our other line. There it is. So that seems like what we're after, yeah? So what happens when I change my model view option to a RCP? Now this RCP has my openings only with contours turned on. My contours have disappeared. They're still showing on my other doors, Graphisoft doors and the ones I've created using the other processes I showed you earlier, but they're not here on this one. And the reason for that is that under the MVO, when you turn off your door, the script won't actually run. It'll just draw a contour. The exceptions to the script exclusions are all of your wall statements. So wall hole 2, wall block, wall line, wall arc. So these statements will run when your MVO turns your doors and windows off. The other thing is when you start getting graphic overrides involved. If I change to a graphic override that changes my doors to grey, you can see that this line here, the wall hole cut lines, have also been turned to grey. But if I change it to a graphic override that has the doors as black and the walls as grey, the cut line is not responding to that graphic override as it should. It's being treated as a door and not as part of the wall. So the simple solution to that is, instead of drawing a line, I draw a wall line. That's it. That's the only difference there. And now when I come back into here, my wall lines are being treated as part of the wall. And if I change to my RCPs, I'll just change this back to a graphic override where I can see the contours. I can see that my contour lines are also drawing. So that's an important thing to be aware of there, wall line. Now this wall skins parameters that I've executed here, that I've made use of here, that's a very simplistic approach. Of course, you can get all sorts of interesting build-ups with your wall composites. You can have multiple skins and you can have doors in walls flipped around with reference lines and whatnot, and that's a whole other kettle of fish, determining whether your wall is going one direction or another, which reference line it's in, and so on. If you want to investigate the wall hole cut macro, and this is in Archicad 27, just paste the name there, select it, Control-Shift-O to open that macro, go to the 2D, and down around the 3,700 mark. 3,728. You've got a little conditional statement there, which tests to see whether it's a basic wall or a composite wall. And if it's a composite wall, it will test to see whether something's rotated or not, and call it out that way. You can also call out your line type. Wall skins parameters, column 10. Put this back on floor plans, and doors come back. Put this graphic override back on floor plans. I'll also change this pen back to what it's meant to be so it looks right, and get rid of my debugging tools. I'll just comment them out for now. Might use them again. And there is our custom door. Yeah, good stuff. A nice short episode, this one, but an important one. Next up, the final episode in this series. We're almost there. In that episode, I will cover the levels of detail in 3D. We've done 2D. Now it's time for the 3D. I'll see you there.